Welcome to the 2013 420 and 470 Junior European Championships, taking place in Pwllheli, Great Britain, where 272 sailors from 20 nations are competing in this pinnacle junior event. We join the Junior European Championship at the halfway stage, with the 6-race qualification series completed for the 420 fleet, who are now split into gold and silver, and the 470 fleet are on to races 7 and 8 of their series.
Morning of fifth day, we've got 4 races left for the regatta. We've had one windy day that's been called off, so we've had 3 days of racing, 6 races. Currently sitting in 3rd place. I'm really trying to get a good, some low points in these last few races to get into the medal race with a nice buffer on some of the other boats.
We join race 7 in the 470 women fleet, where the series leaders Kiselova and Krasko from the Ukraine had a good start in the middle of the fleet, with Spain's Cornudella and Lopez a bit to windward in what would turn out to be a critical choice for these two teams. The Marquardt sisters from Germany had been steadily climbing up the leaderboard, but did not clear the line well and had to tack several times to find a free track upwind. During the first upwind, the wind was around 10 knots, with short choppy waves making it a bit difficult for the sailors to drive their boats forward fast. Heading downwind, Cornudella and Lopez sailed fast and secured a safe lead over the rest of the fleet, with the Ukrainians in 2nd. The British pair of Freeman and Tomset, who were 2nd overall going into the day this morning, were now back in 5th at the downwind gate, which could unseat them. The front of the fleet, Ukraine found some pace and accelerated to take the race win, with the Spanish in 2nd. Over in the 470 men fleet, the series leaders Capurro and Pupo from Italy opted for the pin end of the line, which was not the right choice for them as they headed to the left of the track upwind. Wood and Brayshaw from the host nation, along with the newly crowned 470 junior world champions Zamar and Herb from Spain, took a clean start at the committee boat end of the line, pumping hard off the start line. By the first downwind, Spain's sibling partnership the Chales brothers were leading but had started the race too early and were ultimately disqualified from the race. Just behind them were another brother partnership, Switzerland's Rigo brothers, who chose to round the opposite gate. At this stage, the series leaders Capurro and Pupo were back in 10th and dropped back even further to finish in 14th, whilst rivals Cohen and Froelich from Israel took the win and jumped to the front of the leaderboard. In the 420 fleet, Poland's girls team of Romaniuk and Goralska have led the series from the outset and went into the final series of the first of the 3 girls teams in the top 3 of this open fleet. Another strong start for the Polish pair, with the Portuguese boys team of Pereira and Cruz taking a less well-executed start for a few metres to windward. Immediately after the start, the fleet split as they chose to head up the left or right track upwind. By the downwind gate, Italy's ISAF Youth World Bronze medalist Paternoster and De Sala had taken the lead, with the Netherlands' Lambrieux and Meyer in 2nd. The wind had by now significantly decreased, and it was a challenge for the teams to sail the waves. The Italians chose the right side of the upwind, as did the Dutch pair. The Portuguese struggled as they rounded the gate, unable to lower their spinnaker and getting caught in the crowd. The Italians went on to claim their 3rd successive race win and rounded the day off with another victory in the next race and were rewarded with a jump to the top of the overall leaderboard. However, the weather conditions would change totally hours later. Many changes in the leaderboard are expected, as the heavier teams do have a significant advantage in the windy conditions. Race day 6 at the 420 and 470 Junior Europeans, with the 272 sailors arriving at Pwllheli Sailing Club this morning under a grey sky and light rain. A critical day as the 470 teams complete their final 2 races to determine the 8-boat medal race lineup, whilst the 420 fleet completed races 9 and 10 of their 12-race series. With the breeze up on the racecourse, the conditions facing sailors were big waves, strong gusts, and the likelihood of a tough racing day ahead favouring the heavier teams and those who could anticipate the sudden change in breeze. Race 9 on the 470 men course, and the British pair of Wood and Brayshaw took a pin end of the line, with the South African pair of Asanafi and Sibu close by in what was a fairly even start for the teams. As the gusts hit 22 knots, challenging conditions for teams as they tried to tack after the start, with one crew even taking a swim. Within a minute, the British pair had edged into the lead, with the South Africans close behind and the series leaders from Italy, Capurro and Pupo, just a few metres further back. Wood and Brayshaw continued to extend and rounded the windward mark first, with a massive lead over the French teams of Pelisson and Boucher and Ferdi and Agenor, who were chasing. The Italians and South Africans were amongst the top 6 teams, with the Israelis Cohen and Froili close behind. Onto the downwind leg, and an impressive spectacle as the fleet surfed the waves, with those mastering their technique powering ahead with a breeze of around 22 knots. From the downwind, the fleet maintained a fairly steady order, with Woods and Brayshaw taking the win, Germany's Ordenreith and Hoesch in second, and Fredi and Agenor finishing third. Leaderboard changes followed, with Israel's Cohen and Froilich moving to pole position. A painful day for Capurro and Pupo, who broke their mast and headed back to shore. In the 470 women's fleet, Bahram and Maman from Israel secured their second successive race win. A great outcome for Switzerland's team of Fani and Siegenthaler, who finished in second place, marking their best race result of the series. Championship leaders Kiselova and Krasko from the Ukraine had been leading the race, but after recovering from a capsize ended up crossing the line in 10th. Over on the 420 racetrack, the lighter teams had a real struggle on their hands in the feisty conditions, having to work incredibly hard to keep their boats flat and powering forwards. Most of the pack chose to start at the committee boat end of the line, with the fleet splitting upwind. The championship leaders Paternoster and De Sale from Italy were buried well back. Heading upwind, the Kiwis led, with the American pair of Enkma van Dijk and McDonough in third. Another Antipodean team, the Australian pair of Winston Smith and Dawson, sailed an exceptionally fast reach and leapt up to second place at the second mark. Downwind, the gusts hit almost 20 knots, with the 420s literally flying over the waves in a thrilling spectacle. The Kiwis kept control of the fleet and took their first race win of the series, with the Americans finishing in second and the Australians in third. The leading girls' teams of Paternoster and De Sale, along with the French pair of Sola and Pébrière, kept control of their boats round the track, but were a long way off the leading group. The boys' top team of Lambrieux and Meyer from Holland, who were fourth going into the day, managed to leap up to second overall, despite their poor performance today. The Italians had their worst scoreline of the championship, but it was matched by other leading teams, retaining their lead with a 9-point margin.
It's a very difficult day because the wind is very, very strong for us. We do to race between 20 and 30 position. It is not good, but there were a lot of boys before us, so it is important.
On to Thursday's final day at the 420 and 470 Junior European Championships, with 2 races scheduled for the 96-boat 420 fleet and a double-point 8-boat medal race for each of the 470 men and 470 women fleets. Medal deciding day at the 420 and 470 Junior European Championships in Pwllheli, Great Britain, and the race committee were optimistic to get racing underway. But as the sun came out, the breeze vanished, forcing an abandonment of all racing. Many teams were desperate for the chance to upgrade their leaderboard positions or get themselves up into the top 3. In the 470 women, Kiselova and Krasko from the Ukraine had also ensured themselves of a medal, and with a significant points margin were looking strong for gold. Only the British and Spanish had any chance of unseating them.
The forecast is light wind now, and my position is first, and we have a medal race. My plan is to be before the two boats that after me. It's the German team and the GBR team. They are pretty close, but we are good in this condition, and we hope to pass them in the medal and be first.
There was massive expectation in the boat park and on the beach as teams prepared their boats, hoping for the breeze to pick up. However, the regular updates coming in from the race committee out on the course areas did not look positive. All the teams were pretty relaxed, chilling on the beach and catching up with each other. With a race cut-off time of 1600 hours, the race committee hoisted the race abandonment flags at around 1530 hours. The leaderboard positions from yesterday's racing remained. Let's listen to the winners.
Today we came to the club and we saw that there is no wind. Because of lack of wind, we were waiting for some hours, and it was a bit boring. And we wanted to sail a medal race, but it didn't happen, so we were just waiting for the wind.
The championship was great for us. We started at 18th position on the first day, and during the event we climbed to the top, and now we're here in second.
The day was not in favour of the ones in fourth.
We finished at fourth, and we were 10 points behind the third. It was difficult, but we were thinking that it could happen, but now no win, so bad feeling is not good finishing at Europeans without the medal race.
Let's have a look at the results. In the 420 fleet, the Italians Paternoster and De Sale are the 2013 420 world champions, even if they had a poor performance yesterday with a 26 and a 22 finishes. In the 470 fleet, the Israelis maintained their lead over the Brits, who scored 2 bullets in the last 2 races and decreased the gap to 3 points. In the 470 women's fleet, the Ukrainian pair of Kiselova and Krasko were the absolute winners, scoring 5 bullets out of 10 races. The closing ceremony was an enthusiastic celebration of the talents of young sailors from around the world, with teams from 9 nations up on the podium and with medals around their necks. Let's look back at some of the highlights. The 420 and 470 junior Europeans had a real mix of breeze, light to gusts of around 24 knots, and most importantly, the overriding consensus was that the venue of Paheli and the racing areas on Cardigan Bay are perfect for elite level racing. Thanks for watching.